What organelle is known as the powerhouse and has its own DNA? Mitochondria. This organelle provides energy and is inherited only from your mother. A permanent change in the DNA sequence is a mutation. Mutations can be caused by mistakes during copying or by things like UV sunlight. Where is most of the DNA found in a human cell? Nucleus. The nucleus acts as the control center where your genetic code is stored safely. How many pairs of chromosomes do humans have? "23. You get 23 chromosomes from your father and 23 from your mother, totaling 46. What is the segment of DNA that codes for a trait? Gene. Genes are the specific instructions that determine things like your height or hair color. Which part of the nucleotide contains genetic information? Nitrogen base. The specific order of these bases creates the language of your DNA. How many nitrogen bases are there in DNA? Four. The four bases are adenine, thymine, cytosine, and guanine. Which scientist's times-ray photos helped find DNA's shape? Rosalind Franklin. Her famous photo 51 proved that DNA was a double helix. What is the backbone of DNA made of? Sugar and phosphate. This strong outer edge protects the important genetic bases inside. The study of genes and heredity is called? Genetics. Genetics explains how features and health conditions are passed down through families. What are the building blocks of DNA called? Nucleotides. Each nucleotide is made of a sugar, a phosphate, and a nitrogen base. What does DNA stand for? Deoxyribonucleic acid. It is a long molecule that carries the genetic instructions for all living things. How much DNA do identical twins share? 100%. Identical twins come from the same original cell, giving them the exact same DNA code. DNA is often called the blueprint of life. It contains every instruction needed to build and operate a living creature. DNA provides instructions for making what? Proteins. Proteins are the workhorses that do almost everything in your body. What are the tightly coiled structures of DNA called? Chromosomes. DNA wraps itself tightly into chromosomes so it can fit inside the tiny cell nucleus. What holds the two strands of DNA together? Hydrogen bonds. These weak chemical bonds act like a zipper that can open when DNA needs to be copied. Which of these is not a base in DNA? Uracil. Uracil is only found in RNA, which is a different type of genetic molecule. DNA determines your eye color. This is an example of a trait. A trait is a physical characteristic that you inherit from your parents. Which sugar is found in DNA? Deoxyribose. This specific sugar gives DNA its name and forms the sides of the ladder. Who discovered the double helix structure of DNA? James Watson and Francis Crick. They used times-ray data to build the first model of the DNA ladder. Which base always pairs with guanine, G? Cytosine. G and C always pair up to keep the DNA structure stable and even. Humans share about 98% of their DNA with which animal? Chimpanzee. This high percentage shows how closely related humans and chimps are in nature. How many strands make up a DNA molecule? 2. These two strands twist around each other to form a shape like a spiral staircase. In which phase of the cell cycle does DNA replicate? Interphase. This is the resting and growing phase where the cell prepares for division. Which base is replaced by uracil in RNA? Thymine. RNA is a single-stranded messenger that uses uracil instead of thymine. Where is DNA found in a bacteria cell? Cytoplasm. Bacteria do not have a nucleus, so their DNA floats freely inside the cell. What is the shape of a DNA molecule? Double helix. This twisted ladder shape allows a lot of information to be packed into a tiny space. Which base always pairs with adenine, A? Thymine. In the DNA code, A and T always lock together like two puzzle pieces. The process of copying DNA is called? Replication. Your body does this every time a cell divides, so the new cell has the same instructions.